No one in Obaola had ever seen the sky turn red like that. It was not the dusty, rust-colored twilight that accompanied Harmattan winds, nor the smog from bushfires in the dry season. No, the sky that night was thick with a blood-colored hue that spread across the heavens like a spilled calabash of palm oil on white cloth. Children huddled inside their huts. Old women whispered incantations to ward off death. Dogs howled at nothing. Roosters crowed even though it was night. And the air itself was stiff with warning, as if the earth knew what was about to be born. The elders of the village stood outside the meeting hut, faces raised, mouths dry. The Dibia, the ancient seer of the village, staggered from his shrine with white chalk streaked across his bare chest and cowries in his beard. His eyes, clouded by decades of spiritual visions, rolled upward as he cried out in a voice that made even the fire tremble. Oduro gi no ebie. Onwa mio no ebie. The curse enters. A spirit child is coming. Far from the village center, in a hut that barely stood against the forest breath, a young woman lay on a raffia mat soaked in sweat and agony. Nwama, the woman everyone called, the cursed widow, even though she had never been married, screamed as waves of pain surged through her frail body. Her breath came in staccato gasps, her fingers clawing at the earth beneath her. Beside her, bent like a drying god, was Mama Njidika, the midwife whose hands had delivered more children than anyone could count, but whose eyes had never seen anything like this. "Hush, child, push," she commanded, but her voice quivered. "The baby is too quiet, this is not normal." Nwama cried out once more, louder than before, and suddenly, the air changed. The night went silent. Too silent. Even the wind held its breath. Then, a soundless gasp. A shift in the atmosphere. A baby slipped from between Nwama's legs, sleek, still, and silent. The room waited for the cry. It never came. Mama Njidika leaned closer. The baby was breathing. Alive. But not crying. Not moving. Its eyes were closed. And then, one by one, they opened. First the left eye. Then the right. And then, a third eye, planted directly in the center of the child's forehead, blinked slowly, horizontally. A soft crimson glow emitted from it, flickering like dying embers. The oil lamp in the corner of the room sputtered, flared, and died. Darkness swallowed the hut. Mama Njidika screamed. "Yezu! Chinik! Oh! This is not a child. It's not a child." She scrambled backward and knocked over a clay pot of herbs. The scent of ash and fear filled the air. Nwama, exhausted, tried to sit up, but something changed in her face. Her mouth opened as if to speak, but no sound came out. Her eyes rolled back. And her body fell limp. No blood. No struggle. Just stillness, as if something had peeled her soul away like yam skin. Mama Njidika wailed as she ran out of the hut, arms flailing, the baby still lying on the mat, silent, glowing, watching. Outside, the wind returned with a wail. Dogs barked. Birds scattered. Somewhere, a drum began to beat, slow and mournful, though no hand touched it. By morning, all of Obaola knew what had happened. The Dibia refused to enter the hut. The chief summoned the council of elders. And the people gathered, whispering and muttering prayers behind closed mouths. 3 eyes. No cry. killed his mother just by being born. One man, a hunter, spat in the sand. We must kill it. That is not a baby. That is something from the other side. An old woman shook her head violently. No. If it is truly a spirit child, you cannot kill it. You will only provoke its kind. The chief, Obidike, a tired man with a trembling chin and watery eyes, raised his hand. Silence followed. The gods have not asked us to shed innocent blood. But neither have they told us to raise this thing. Take it. Leave it at the edge of the Teogu forest. Let the spirits decide. Moman Jidika protested, weeping. He is just a child, he has not cried, but he is alive. He drinks. He breathes. But none listened. By midday, the child was wrapped in a tattered wrapper and placed in a raffia basket. Without ceremony, without name, he was carried by two fearful men and left beside the great tree where the forest began. A tree with roots like claws and bark as dark as night. The wind howled around them as they placed the basket down. One of the men whispered a trembling prayer. Then they ran. Behind them, the forest creaked. 3 days later, he came back. Naked. Unharmed. Crawling into the edge of the village. His third eye still open. Not a scratch on his body. Not a bug bite. Not a bruise. He looked at the crowd gathering around him with eyes, all three of them, wide and ancient. As if he remembered who they were. As if he remembered what they did. A man stepped forward, the hunter from 3 days ago, his bow trembling in his hand. He is a demon, he spat. He should have died. Let me finish it. Before anyone could stop him, he flung his spear. It pierced the child's tiny chest. The baby fell backward. Blood pooled beneath him. The villagers gasped. But before they could move, the child sat up. Eyes wide. Smiling. The spear slid out of his flesh, clattered to the ground. And the wound sealed itself. He laughed. And that laugh, oh, that laugh, it was not the sound of a child. It was the sound of something ancient. Something returned. They stopped trying to kill him after that day. What could kill a baby that's healed from a spear through the chest? The chief forbade anyone from ever approaching him again. The Dibia claimed the child was the vessel for something beyond flesh. Some villagers insisted he be chained or cast into the deepest river, but fear silenced all boldness. No one wanted to be the one who woke a curse. So they did the only thing they knew how to do to the cursed, they ignored him. They whispered. They watched from a distance. And they left him in the care of the gods. And so he grew, alone. At first, he cried like a child, calling into the trees, into the wind, for someone, anyone, to hold him, feed him, comfort him. But no one came. Not a soul. Not even the spirits answered. But somehow, he survived. He ate wild mangoes and pawpaw from the bush. He dug yams with his fingers. He drank rainwater from banana leaves. Birds perched on his shoulders and whispered their songs. Monkeys tossed him fruits from the trees. Even snakes curled beside him in sleep without biting. He was alone, yes. But never harmed. Never haunted by animals. Only feared by men. He wandered through the forest as he grew. Thin and barefoot, but alert. Sharp. Watching. Listening. At age 5, a farmer spotted him crouching by the edge of the stream. His third eye was wide open, staring not at the water, but at something unseen. Something beyond the veil of the living. The man screamed and fled. That night, he told the village what he had seen. "The boy is not human," he said. "He sees things. His eyes do not blink. I think he walks with spirits." From that day, the people called him Oyai, the one who returns. A name meant to define him. A name they hoped would protect them from him. And Oyai, he kept it. He would whisper it to himself at night. Not in anger, not in sorrow. But with strange familiarity. As if it were not just his name, but one he had carried before. The first time Oyai tried to die, he was 8. He climbed a tall iroko tree and wrapped a vine around his neck. He had watched a bird die once, caught in a trap. It had stopped moving and gone still. He thought maybe, if he stopped breathing, he would be free too. He jumped. The vine snapped. His body hit the ground with a sickening thud. He woke up with barely a bruise. The second time, he ate poisonous red berries from a plant the monkeys avoided. His stomach turned. He convulsed. He bled from his nose. He passed out under the moonlight. He woke up in the morning with more strength than before. The third time, he walked into the river and let himself sink. Let the water cover him. Let the bubbles rise from his nose. He stayed. Minutes passed. Then hours. But the river spat him back out. Always. He could not die. Not by accident. Not by desire. Not even by nature. On his 9th birthday, something changed. He woke up to find a mark on his back. A seared, red handprint, as if someone had branded him while he slept. But he had been alone. No one could have done it. It burned. Deep in his bones. A pain that did not fade. The next year, another handprint appeared beside it. By the time he turned 12, 12 flaming handprints lined his back, reaching from his spine to his shoulder blade. Each year, the pain returned. Each year, the burning deepened. And each year, the dreams grew stronger. At first, the dreams were whispers. Footsteps on leaves. A man's scream. A pounding noise, like fist against a wooden box. Then, the sound of choking. Of dirt falling onto a mouth trying to scream. Oyai would wake up with soil in his fingernails, though he had not dug. Then the voice came. Low. Distant. Like thunder from underground. You are mine. You carry me. I cannot rest until the blood is balanced. Sometimes, in the dreams, Oyai saw glimpses. A man, bound in ropes, screaming in a hole. People watching. One man with a machete, laughing. Another weeping. And a third, staring at the dying man with cold, dry eyes. Then the grave was sealed. And all went dark. On the eve of his 13th birthday, Oyai awoke with one name in his mouth. Obiajulu. He did not know who the name belonged to. But it pulled him. Like a string tied to his ribs. He wandered deep into the old forest, further than he had ever gone. To a place even animals avoided. a mound of red earth, overgrown with weeds. One lone bone, bleached white, jutted from the soil like a crooked finger pointing to the heavens. The air was cold there. Too cold. Oya knelt. He touched the bone. And his third eye bled. Blood trickled down his forehead as his body shook violently. He saw fire. He saw ropes. He saw betrayal. And then, a whisper so loud it thundered. You carry my pain. You carry my curse. You will not die, child, until you bring my bones justice. That night, thunder cracked across the sky. But no rain fell. Oya sat beneath the iroko tree where he had once tried to hang himself. His skin still burned. His back ached. His eye throbbed. The wind circled him like a spirit returning home. He looked up at the blood moon rising, just like the one on the day of his birth. The air smelled of dust and salt. He heard drums. Not real ones, but ancient ones. Ancestral drums beating in his chest. You are my vengeance, child, the voice returned. And until my killers are found, you will never know peace. Never know death. Never know sleep. Oya's fingers curled into the earth. A small smile played on his lips. Not of joy. Not of hope. But of knowing. Of remembering. Of surrendering to destiny. The boy who could not die had awakened the curse of a man buried alive. And now, the bones were calling for blood. In the heart of Umuekwi, where the wind whispered secrets through the tall iroko trees, they called him Onwa-Agbesa, the boy death could not carry. But not all miracles are welcome, and not every life is a blessing. Sometimes, the very breath of a child can awaken ancient fear. The morning dew still clung to the grass as the village elders gathered at the shrine of Ojoku, the god of justice and secrets. Birds chirped faintly, but the air was thick with tension. Elder Makwi, the oldest among them, with a beard like a twisted river root, slammed his staff against the sacred ground. Elder Makwi. This child, this thing, returned from the bush after 7 days of death. He bled, and then he smiled. That is no child of Umuekwi. That is a curse reborn. The villagers murmured. Fear crackled like dry firewood in their voices. Women clutched their children. Old men held their charms tighter. But the child, now 5 years old, sat in silence beneath the odon tree, staring at the sky. His third eye remained shut most times, but when it opened, things happened. Unexplainable things. It was the 7th night after his death. A dark fog had crept over the village. Dogs whimpered. Pregnant women felt their wombs twist. The elders had just completed the final burial rites, burning the clothes of the dead boy by the sacred river. Then came the wind. Sharp. Howling. As if 1,000 voices whispered through the leaves. At midnight, he crawled back. Covered in dirt. Blood crusted on his tiny chest where the spear had pierced him. He walked naked, unshaken, through the village square. Old Mama Ifedi. It is him. He is back. Men dropped their firewood. The women screamed. When one of the hunters rushed to strike him with a machete, the blade shattered midair. And then, his third eye opened. Glowing crimson. A week later, Pastor Chidi arrived from the nearby town of Ogbunaik. A young but fire-filled preacher, known for casting out demons in crusades under open skies. He brought a cross, anointing oil, and 7 prayer warriors. They tied the boy with spiritual chains, ropes soaked in holy oil, blessed under a full moon. Pastor Chidi, chanting, "You unclean spirit! Speak your name." But the boy only smiled. "Come." Innocent. His lips didn't move. Suddenly, Pastor Chidi began to shake. His Bible caught fire. The others ran, leaving only the boy seated, still bound, still smiling. In the days that followed, strange things occurred. The river turned black for 3 days. All the chickens in the village laid rotten eggs. A blind man named Ogwefai regained sight, but saw only shadows walking beside each villager. Ogwefai screamed, "We are all marked." He brought something back from the other side. No one dared to speak the boy's birth name anymore. He was called only Nwa Onwu, the child of death. His only protector was his grandmother, Mama Nena, a widow who believed the boy was not cursed but chosen. She took him away to live at the edge of the forest, near the abandoned shrine of the goddess Olioma, goddess of twilight and forbidden children. Mama Nena, praying, "Olioma, I know not what lives within him, but if this child is your vessel, show mercy. Let him live. Let him be." The goddess responded that night in a dream, her voice like rain falling on dry bones. "Olioma, spirit whisper. He is a bridge between death and life. He cannot die until the one who cursed him is buried alive." Mama Nene woke up gasping, sweating, her lips blackened with ash. Who cursed the boy? It was not a witch. Not a spirit. But a man. His own grandfather. Okonkwo, once the village chief, had offered the unborn child's destiny to a river oracle in exchange for power and long life. But the price had been mispaid. The child's spirit refused to cross into death. Instead, he became a keeper of balance, neither alive nor dead. The old chief now lay paralyzed. He could not speak, yet tears ran down his cheeks when the boy visited. The boy said nothing. He just stood by the bedside, his third eye slowly opening. The dead do not rest, when the living owe blood. In a tense gathering under the full moon, the village held a secret meeting. Elder Nokeji. He must be sent to the Valley of Silence. Let the spirits take what they claim. Mama Nene pleaded. Cried. Screamed. But they came for him that dawn, binding him in chains of cowries and salt. As they dragged him away, thunder cracked the skies. Rain refused to fall. The child, unafraid, stared at the villagers. And then, with a voice not his own, he said, "You buried the curse, but not the guilt. I will return when your shadows forget the light." The Valley of Silence lay beyond Okpro and Joku, the mountain of broken echoes, where only madmen and condemned souls were sent. It was said that the wind itself refused to speak there. For masked men carried the child, his ankles bound in cowrie-soaked chains, his mouth gagged with red cloth, blessed and cursed by 7 elders. But he did not struggle. As they approached the valley, a chilling calm washed over the path. Birds stopped singing. The trees looked on with crooked branches like pointing fingers. One of the carriers, a hunter named Obina, began to shiver. Obina whispers. He's too calm. This is not normal. The boy opened his third eye. Obinna screamed. His body seized, foam dripping from his lips. The others dropped the child and fled. The boy stood slowly. The chains clinked as he walked toward the edge of the cliff. He sat alone beside a dried-up stream, surrounded by bleached bones of animals and broken charms. For 7 days, he ate nothing, said nothing, only stared at the sky, as though waiting. On the 8th night, the moon disappeared. A figure appeared in the mist, a man with no shadow, wearing a white wrapper and a cap made of thorns. His eyes were pale, not blind, but beyond seeing. You are the death. But you are also the revenge. The boy tilted his head. Stranger. Do you wish to understand the curse that chained your soul before your body was born? The child nodded. The man drew a line in the sand. It caught fire and revealed a vision in the smoke. Long ago, before the boy's mother was born, Okonkwo the chief was told by a river oracle. If your bloodline must rule forever, you must give your first seed to me. Thinking this meant his first son, Okonkwo sacrificed a secret baby born from an affair, an innocent child drowned in the river Onya. But the river rejected the offering. Oracle, in memory. You gave me a stranger seed. Not your future. So when the boy's mother became pregnant, the gods marked that child, the firstborn male in the true line, as the rightful death. But the mother, unaware of the curse, birthed him in joy, not knowing he was born to carry a forgotten blood oath. Stranger in the valley. You are not meant to die until the oath is reversed. Until the bones of your grandfather lie unburied, rotting under moonlight. Only then will your soul know rest. The child's eye closed. Stranger. You must choose, walk with the spirits, or return and collect your vengeance. The boy picked up a small white stone. Suddenly, a raven cawed. The mist faded. The stranger was gone. On the 21st night, Mama Nene woke with a jolt. Her bones ached, her chest burned with a familiar dread. Mama Nena, sobbing. He is alive. He is walking back to us. In the distance, dogs barked. The skies wept. By morning, the boy returned. He walked into the village square, barefoot, with a snake coiled around his shoulders, not biting him, but guarding him. He said only one thing. Where is the man who offered me to the river? Chief Okonkwo had not spoken for over a year. His mouth drooped, his body frail like dried banana leaves. The boy stood over his bedside, the third eye now glowing faint gold. Mama Nene held his hand. Suddenly, Okonkwo began to groan, his eyes wide open for the first time in months. Okonkwo, gargled whisper. It was supposed to be, not you. The boy raised his hand. The snake hissed. Child. You gave me before I was even born. Now. I take back what you stole. A wind surged through the hut. Okonkwo coughed blood. And then, died. But death was not enough. The curse needed cleansing. With Mama Nena's help, the boy performed the forbidden 7 river rite, a ritual older than any elder. Each day, they went to a different sacred river, offering crushed kola, goat blood, and ashes of Okonkwo's bones. At the 7th river, the boy submerged himself entirely. His body glowed. His third eye closed. For the first time in his life, he fell asleep like a normal child. But dreams came, violent ones. In the dream, a voice of thunder said, "You are not free. You are only awakened. Your gift is not immortality, it is divine memory. You will carry stories forgotten. You are not meant for one village, but for all." The boy woke up crying. Mama Nena sang softly. NWAM, Onichi. You carry fire not for destruction, but for light. The village could no longer deny his power. Children now whispered about him with awe. Women prayed at his doorstep. Even the priest of three gods visited to understand his third eye. He was no longer NWA Onwu. They called him Obidike, the heart that stood against death. But the boy knew this was only the beginning. Because deep within him, he could feel it. The curse is broken, but the spirits are watching. There are more like me. Forgotten children. Chained by secrets. I will find them. He looked beyond the forest, toward the mountains. They thought it was over, that the boy's curse had been broken. But curses this old do not die with a man. They hide in places no one thinks to search. They sleep in shadows. And the boy's shadow had begun to whisper. It began subtly. At first, Obidike noticed that his shadow no longer followed the light. When he walked, the shadow stayed behind, or moved in strange directions, like it had a mind of its own. At night, he heard voices, not outside, but behind him. Breathing, muttering, whispering his name. One morning, Mama Nene found a dark smear on the floor of their hut. It looked like a burn mark, shaped like a man kneeling. She tried to clean it, but the ash spread instead of fading. Mama Nena, shaken. Obidike, my son, your shadow has begun to carry the weight of the dead. Word spread. Villagers began avoiding the boy again. A hunter swore he saw a black monkey sitting on Obidike's shoulder in the bush, whispering to him. Others said they saw his shadow split, that one part followed him, and another went into people's homes. One night, a pregnant woman woke up screaming. She claimed Obidike's shadow crawled on her stomach and tried to steal her unborn child. The village priest was summoned. They tried to purify him. 7 men tied him to a wooden pole in the village square. A fire was lit beneath him, not to burn him, but to draw the truth. Priest. If his spirit is cursed, it will scream through the flames. But the fire wouldn't catch. Even when kerosene was poured on the wood, it only smoked. Instead, a black mist oozed from the ground, and a second shadow crawled out of Obidike's feet. It stood up, a faceless figure, shaped like him, with no eyes, only the glowing mark of a third eye on its forehead. The people screamed. The shadow walked into the fire. The flames hissed and vanished. That night, an old woman arrived from a neighboring land. She wore a dress of ashes, cowries in her dreadlocks, and her eyes were blind but unclouded. She called herself Ikioma, daughter of night. Ikioma, softly. This child carries more than a curse. He carries a doorway. She asked to speak to Obidike alone. Ikioma. Your shadow is no longer yours. It has become a house. And houses must be swept. Or else, guests will move in. That night, Ikioma performed a rite with Obidike in a sacred grove under a moonless sky. She drew a circle of ash and had him stand in it naked, holding a mirror in one hand and a severed rooster's foot in the other. Ikioma, chanting. From where you came, show us who waits. From what you carry, reveal the weight. The air thickened. From the mirror, 7 faces appeared, angry, twisted, burning with grief. They were children. Like him. We are the ones like you, they whispered. Born under oaths. Hidden. Buried. Forgotten. Obidike screamed. His body twisted, his veins turning black momentarily. But Ikioma struck the ground with her staff, and the spirits retreated. After the ritual, Ikioma sat him down beside the fire and spoke. There are others like you. Born cursed. Buried in silence. The gods have begun to stir them. Some will find light, some will become monsters. You must find the others. But beware, your shadow now walks ahead of you. And not everything it invites is your friend. Before she left, she gave him a small bundle wrapped in bark. Inside was a piece of red thread. Tie it around your wrist the day you meet another cursed child. You will know them. Your shadow will point. The next morning, Obidike left the village quietly. No one stopped him. Some even nodded in respect. The boy who could not die had become a traveler of fates. As he walked through the forest, he noticed his shadow sometimes veered left or right, or suddenly grew longer when no sun was above. At a forked road, it pointed toward a narrow goat path. He followed it. At sunset, he reached a quiet compound with broken huts and fallen shrines. There was a small girl sitting in the dust, drawing circles with her finger. She looked up. Her eyes glowed yellow. And around her neck was a live snake, not strangling her, but whispering. Are you the boy who cannot die? She asked. Because I cannot sleep. Obidike stared. His shadow reached out toward her. He tied the red thread around his wrist. He thought the curse was personal. But some curses are threads in a larger cloth. And the boy who could not die was about to meet others who could not live.